Join. Thanks, Coach Joe. 5 of our recent graduates joining us tonight. If you didn't hear that, we are going to record the meeting so we can post it online. Our hope is that by hearing our alumni talk a little bit about Tufts, about their swim experience on the team, and answer questions that y'all might have, it's just going to give you a better feel for what our program is like and what opportunities are accessible to student athletes at Tufts. So just firstly, Brooke, John, Nathan, Steph, and Hannah, thanks so much for joining us. It's really good to see you guys. So if we could just go around and if each of you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, sharing your graduation year, sharing where you're originally from, sharing what you got your degree in, what you swam, and then what you're doing right now, if you can remember all that. So maybe start with Brooke. You're in my top left there, Brooke.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Brooke. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I was in the class of 2020. I swam the 50 free, 50 fly, 200 free relay, sometimes the 100 free. And right now I'm currently in New York City getting my master's degree at Columbia. And I'm also working in social media and marketing. So definitely putting my film and media degree to good use.
Thanks, Brooke. John, and then Nathan, you guys want to go next, and then we'll save Hannah and Steph for the anchor leg.
Sure. I'm John. I use he, him pronouns. I graduated in 2021. Yes, 2021. I double majored in history and political science. And I just finished my first year of law school at George Washington University in DC. But now I'm currently at home vacationing in Florida. I think I got everything I was supposed to get there.
What did you swim, John?
Oh, sorry. I swam distance freestyle events, mile, 1,500. Thank you, Nathan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nathan. I also use the he, him pronouns. I'm originally from Ohio. I also graduated in 2021. I swam all backstroke, mostly the 200, but also the 100 back. Let's see, I majored in biology, and I'm currently at Tufts University School of Medicine, getting my MD and also my master's in public health.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm originally from New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Currently living in Boston, and I also graduated in 2020. I work for State Street Bank right now on a sales team, and I was mid-distance freestyle and backstroke.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm originally from Harrison, New York, and I also live in Boston. I was part of the class of 2020, and I studied environmental engineering, and I currently work at a civil engineering firm here in Back Bay. Oh, and I swam like 2 IM and backstroke and breaststroke events.
Thanks, everyone. And Stephanie and Hannah are roommates, hence why they're on the same computer screen. So certainly relationships extend far beyond your 4 years at Tufts. So we've got some questions lined up for our alums, and at the end you'll have the opportunity to ask them any questions that you all might have. So let's see here. First question I'm directing at John and Brooke, and fairly, all encompassing, but what do you remember? Can you share a few things that you remember about your Tufts swim and dive experience? Maybe Brooke first and then John.
Yeah, of course. I feel like what stands out to me the most is like kind of all the little moments about being on the team. So like I was a sprinter, so I feel like a lot of my memories come from like my little sprint group that developed throughout the 4 years. Like we always swam in the same lane at like the end of the pool, like by ourselves, and like always just had like the best time together. And I feel like those relationships and like we're outside of the pool as well. So like going to the dining hall together after practice and like hanging out there. And I feel like I think the community aspect of being on the team is like what I remember most when I'm looking back at it. And I feel like it was because of being on the swim team that like I had like great friendships.
Yeah, I think Brooke is exactly right. I think it's like all of the little moments that like even you sit down and I'm not even sure that you could pick them out one by one, but they sort of just all add up. And then obviously there are like the big moments too. Nathan and I's freshman year, the men's team winning NESCACs is still like I think the coolest thing I've ever been a part of. Just to experience that with everybody. But I think it's just all of the little moments that develop along the way. One quick example is we used to go on a men's team retreat. The women did it as well. And we would stay in this camp or lodge. And it was a great experience. And like, you might be thinking that is the experience I'm going to talk about, but no, on the way back, we would stop at this rest stop in New Hampshire and get this particular grilled cheese that we all loved. And during quarantine, Nathan and I stayed at Tufts. And we decided one day that we were going to drive to that rest stop and get the Tufts men's swimming retreat grilled cheese. And we did that. And like, so just stuff like that, like the little memories you make and the little quirky things that come out of just being with a whole bunch of amazing people is definitely the memory I still hold.
That's great. I didn't know about the grilled cheese. No, thanks, Brooke. Thanks, John. That's awesome. So our next question is just about challenges that you might have faced in college that you wish you had a heads up on before you got there. So if there were things that were challenging to you, you know, what those might have been, and definitely ones that maybe you wish you were aware of. So Nathan and Hannah, do you both want to take a shot at this one?
Sure. I can start. I feel like you hear so much about college when you're in high school. You hear a lot of positive things like, oh, it's the best 4 years of your life. And I look back on it and like, it was a great 4 years and I really like did have a lot of fun. And I feel like everyone applying to Tufts knows academically it is going to be an intense school, but I feel like once you get to college, things are so different and you almost can never really be prepared for like all the feelings, all the ways you kind of handle college. Probably all of you on the call have some sort of support system at home that's like always there for you. And while you get to college, like all your friends and your coaches become the support system, but you don't have your parents there for you like every step. That you don't have them making dinner for you. You're in charge of really everything. So I think the freedom is sometimes so great, but also kind of challenging to navigate. I think for me in particular with Tufts, I was really surprised with how hard exams were. I don't think I was like really ever prepared for that in high school. And I knew Tufts was going to be hard, but it is hard. And you kind of learn to navigate, learn to study. And I really like look at like my relationships with people on the team. They taught me how to study. They gave me advice. They told me what classes to take, what professors to go to. A lot of our teammates are tutors, so they help tutor. So I feel like just kind of navigating that. And then similarly in a swimming experience, swimming completely changes. Like I was on a club team through high school for 10 years of my life. Those were also my best friends. But then you come to college, you're with a whole new team, and it takes time to, you know, befriend everyone on the team. It took me probably like 6 months to really feel like, okay, like this is awesome. And sometimes like you have really high expectations, but you're managing so much. So sometimes in the pool, your expectations can kind of change around that. So I'd say kind of similar, like academically and athletically, it's just really kind of navigating the varied day to day and just how much your life changes. But all in all, it's like you just change so much in the 4 years, which is like really rewarding.
Yeah, I feel very similarly to Hannah with this question. I think something that I was definitely worried about going in was trying to do everything by myself, studying by myself and training and managing it all in this like new place so far away from home. But I think the swim team is really helpful in all those different ways. We have a dining hall Duick, and something that's really nice is you walk in pretty much any hour that it's open and there's going to be someone there. And chances are there's someone that you share the same major or have taken a similar class, and they can help you. And we even have like Google Drives of like different notes people have taken for classes or recommendations or textbooks. So it's really a very collaborative environment that the swim team can help you outside of the pool, which I wasn't really anticipating, but really enjoyed and relied on heavily. I think swimming wise, similar to Hannah as well, I came from a club team where like individual, like your individual event was really emphasized. And so kind of trying to relearn how to work for the team and like score points for the team, and like kind of like change your mindset so that you're just as excited about other people's swims and like making the team swim faster, ultimately ends up helping you swim faster as well. And so it's kind of a exciting way to like think about swimming in a different way.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Nathan, Hannah. That was awesome. All right. Just now that you're all are part of the alumni network, kind of reflecting on that, I got John, Steph, Hannah thinking about this question, but feel free, Nathan and Brooke to jump in as well. Is the alumni network helpful for finding jobs and internships?
I would say once you're a jumbo, like everyone who has been to Tufts is always willing to help you, whether they were on the swim team or not. I remember senior year, I think the athletic department and the career center had like an alumni athletes networking night, and it was really cool to go to and get to meet some of the older swimmers and along with like other athletes and hear about just different things that they're doing in their industries and get to hear their experiences and get their advice. And I feel like alumni, like anyone who's like been to Tufts, if they see like Tufts on your resume, like they're gonna want to like work with you. Like this summer, we have a Tufts intern working in my group at work, and then my boss is also a Tufts alum. So I feel like jumbos always look out for each other. So it's really good to like reach out to alumni to hear about their experiences, and you never know like what opportunities can come up.
Yeah, I'd go off on that and really agree with Steph on that. And I think also the NESCAC network is also makes it even a larger network. I know there's like a NESCAC group on LinkedIn, and I think my company once had a NESCAC employee network. So there's always kind of ways to connect. And I think not necessarily even if you're looking for a job for someone, you can at least like get advice for them. Like this weekend, I talked to like 3 different Tufts swimmers from all different years. So it's just like, and you can just pick different pieces of advice. I personally when I was looking for jobs, reached out to Tufts alumni, not necessarily on the team, but I know they're kind of always there to support me. And like 20 years down the road, if I needed to reach out to Tufts alumni, I know they would be there.
So I actually got my summer internship from a Tufts alum for this summer. Just by Tufts has this great like database, you can plug in what field you want to see alumni from. And when I started networking, once I got to law school, that was exclusively what I used, and it led to my internship. And I have a 100% perfect record of emailing a Tufts alum, and they email me back, which is like incredible because I've emailed like, I think 30 something Tufts alum that work in DC, and every single one has responded, which is incredible. I've asked friends at other schools, like other schools similar to Tufts, and that has not been the case. And I don't know what exactly it is. I think it's just the sense of community that you develop while you're there, but it's so valuable to have so many people that you can just email. Like, you don't know these people, and some of them were athletes, some of them were not, some of them like new swimmers, and thus were like, oh, I would love to talk to this person. Is the swim team still up to this tradition or that tradition? And it's like, that is just an invaluable resource. And like Hannah said, you can always tap into it. It's something that like is always going to be there. And also a Tufts alum who's looking out for you is more, it's going to be more than just a reference, right? It's more than someone you can just talk to. Like, these people are like this one person, an attorney at one of the firms in DC, connected me with a bunch of people and said in the email, oh, I'm John's mentor. Like, I don't really know this person and I wouldn't really consider him my mentor, but like all of a sudden, like, I'm his mentee, and like that's the dynamic we have just because we both went to Tufts. And that's something that I think is unique. I don't think you get that everywhere.
I think I would also add on, like, even once you graduate too, like, Tufts does such a good job of hosting like alumni events. Like, I just went to an event here in New York and there were Tufts alum from the class of like 2007 to 2021, like all in the same place. And like, you really get to like meet people, and there is that instant connection because you did go to Tufts, and like everyone's in different fields, and it gives you the opportunity to like network in person too while you're there. And like, I got to pick people's brains who were not even athletes, but just in similar fields that I'm in. And I know that they host them in like Boston, DC, New York, and different states. So like, even the opportunities like keep coming once you graduate.
Great. Thanks for sharing, y'all. That was really good stuff. All right. Next question. Did anyone have internships while in school that may have helped you kind of figure out a little bit of what you do next after college, or give you some insight into your future career?
I did internships while I was at Tufts. That, I mean, are relevant to the field I'm in now. So they were all marketing and social media jobs through Tufts, but I feel like it was a really good foundation because a lot of the internships I did were like on campus as well. So I was like networking while in my internship and gaining experience. And I think it all, like, each internship I got kind of built off of each other because I did one and then it got a really good recommendation from like my mentor or my supervisor on that internship, and then would recommend me for a different one the next year. So I think as long as you can like seek out the resources that they have there on campus and like give it your best, like it's really going to pay off throughout your 4 years.
I also interned at Tufts in Tufts Care office, and another swimmer and I actually helped run Tufts Green Dot, which is a bystander intervention group on campus that works to help make Tufts a safer campus through trainings about sexual misconduct and how to intervene. And it was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. And it turned out to be a really interesting way to work in athletics, and then also with the care office, and to try and, build a bridge between those two communities. And it's interning while you're at Tufts, which is a really different school, while you're swimming, and also having time to like have a life and like see your friends and be able to call your parents. Like, all of that is difficult, but then it makes what comes next much easier because you learn how to manage your time. You learn how to manage your relationships, your friendships, your place on the team. So I think it's a very valuable experience. And I think if you can find something at Tufts that sort of builds you into that community even more, it makes the whole experience even more worthwhile.
Awesome. So I've got three of you. I believe it's only three of you. Nathan, Brooke, and John have pursued postgraduate degrees thus far. I don't think Steph or Hannah, either of you have yet. But as far as applying to a postgraduate program, graduate school, what guidance or mentorship is there available to you from Tufts? Where your advisors helping you? It sounds like the alums were a great resource. But on campus, what was helpful to you? during that process?
I think for me in particular, it was my professors. I think Tufts is a really small school once you start going to your classes. Like most of my classes had no more than 20 people, but a lot of my classes were in that like 10 to 15 range. So you really get to know your professors. And a lot of my classes in film and media, I had repeat professors throughout the year. So they really got to know me and I would go to office hours. And so when it came time to apply for grad school, they were really the people that I could lean on for support and advice, especially because I went to grad school for education and they're in the education field. So they knew a lot of people who I could reach out to. And when I was applying to different universities, knowing people at those universities who could give me advice on writing my essays or test taking tips for the GRE. So I think leveraging those relationships was the most helpful for me because they offered to write me letters of recommendation by the end. Like I didn't have to seek that out and kind of make up those relationships towards the end. So I think a big piece of advice I would have if you think you are eventually going to go to post grad is just really like make the most of like your classes and the network that you have on a day-to-day basis because you never know like how well connected your professors could be in like helping you get to your next step.
Is it me, John? All right, I can talk. So I, in a little bit of a different situation in terms of resource help because something that's really nice that Tufts does is your sophomore year, you can apply to Tufts Medical Center and get in without taking the MCAT. So that is the route I actually took to get into school now. And so for me, I didn't know as many of my professors yet. So they do have Tufts does have a pre-med advisor program. I believe it's 2 people. And so I would just email them each semester and kind of check in and talk about what I was doing and kind of learn about any gaps that they thought I could fill in to make myself a little bit more competitive. That was kind of on the formal side. On the informal side, I think I relied on other swimmers the most. I think something that's also kind of cool is we have this kind of steady stream of Tufts, swimmers that become Tufts medical students. So there's one who's 2 years above me, and then I'll have one next year. And then I think in the junior class, we have a bunch. I don't know how many it is. So that's been helpful to kind of talk to, her name is Colleen, talk to Colleen about what she did and how those interviews went. So I really relied on the team for that help as well.
Yeah, I think first of all, professors, like my advisor, my history advisor at Tufts, is now like my mentor for life. Like we text, like I would say once a week, just about events in the news and just checking in. How are you? Like that's how close that connection is. And she guided me through the whole thing, applying to law school. And she had never even applied to law school. It was just like general help. Like sometimes you just need a guide. So like the professor is invaluable. The academic centers that Nathan was talking about also really helpful. But I think Nathan was also right, like other swimmers. Like I had applied with to law school at the same time as all of our friends, Sydney. And we kind of did the whole process together. Like we took the LSAT together on the same days in different states. We, sent in our applications at the same time. And now we're living together in Washington, D.C. while going to 2 different law schools. Like that's how close the connection is with other swimmers. But on top of that, I honestly think the most help I got was like from my friends on the team. Like I feel like by the end of my experience at Tufts, I feel like I had applied to med school with Nathan. I had applied to a PhD program with another one of our roommates. And I'm sure Nathan feels like he applied to law school with me because like looking over personal statements and does my resume look okay? And how did I word this? And like that whole thing, like you do that with your teammates. Like you're in the pool, doing a set and you've touched the wall and it's like, Nathan, I just thought of something. Do you think this is a good personal statement idea? Okay, we swim out, whatever. Do you like, that's the dynamic. And like, that is the stuff that like, I mean, like we were talking about the memories, that sort of thing. Like you apply to like the next place with your teammates. And, you know, it's like, that's just something that's unique and it's special and it makes you a better applicant because you have all of these really smart people. Because if you get to Tufts, you're really smart. You have all these really smart people helping you get to where you want to go next.
And so many people like with you to celebrate too, like when you get the good news. Like I remember like little things, like one of my friends on the team, like we were practicing at completely different times. I was at like the morning practice, she was in the evening practice, but like the next day, like there was something in my locker that she had left when she like came to the pool. And like everyone like wants to celebrate your successes with you because they know how much like work you're putting into it. And like you see them like studying on the pool deck or like talking about it. So it's like you have this huge support system just like built in for you.
All right, thanks, John, Nathan, Brooke. That's great. I had some other questions, but I'm looking at the clock, and I do want to provide some time for our prospects who are on the call to ask you all some questions. So I'd like to go through and do a couple more kind of rapid fire questions if I can that I'm gonna ask you to each of you answer. Next one's pretty fun. We'll start with Hannah and Steph. If you're ready, don't want to put too much pressure on. But let me see how would you encompass your Tufts swimming and diving experience in one word? How would you encompass your swim and dive experience at Tufts in one word?
I'd say inspiring.
I'd say it was a whirlwind. In a good
I'll say rewarding.
I don't really have a word. I'm thinking of a visual. I got it. Sorry, I'm kind of annoying sometimes. I'm thinking of like the Big Bang or like something where like a big burst, like a big burst of color, like a paintball exploding, and it just like worldviews are expanding and lots of connections. And I don't know. I don't have a word for that. So that's what I
intro to the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, I should have that would have been simple, but can't keep it simple over here.
I'm gonna go with unique.
All right, love it. Good stuff. All right, let's see. I really like this question. What class would you recommend to an incoming first year that you took while you were at Tufts? And I'll have each of you answer this one.
I'll go. I would recommend this class called Food Media. It was like one of my favorite classes that I took because you get to eat a snack and like a sweet at every class because like the teacher will bring things in that she makes, but she's like a food magazine like photographer and food stager, so you learn like all these cool things and you get to like come up with fun recipes and get published. So very fun and like easy. Like it's not like a very taxing class. It's like a nice way to like end your Friday.
I'd say, I mean, I always say a class in the ELS department, which is the Entrepreneurial Leadership Science department. And I'd either go with the intro one or marketing. The intro class, you get to start your own business and you just kind of learn how that goes, what goes into that. And all the professors in the department have like either started their own businesses or been really successful. And I just like thought it was really fun and kind of different and no textbooks, so I enjoyed that. So really anything in that department. It's a minor usually.
I would definitely recommend if you're either in like interested in like computer science or engineering to take computer aided design with Ryan Marshall, because he's awesome alum, but he's like a great professor and it's a really cool class because you get to like design things in a computer. So it's like not a ton of numbers, but it's like really fun and definitely a skill that you'll need to learn. But yeah,
she's a smart one.
I would say this is like a little bit science specific, but I took a class where you just kind of research the microbiome of cheese, which is pretty exciting. I think I took it during COVID, but I'm pretty sure like in a not COVID world, which I hope is on the we're getting in there. I think you would like sample cheeses as well. But it was kind of cool to like learn about the molds and things on cheese. Maybe that's a little just geared to science people, but you can eat cheese. That's fine.
Another cool thing about Tufts, Nathan and I were roommates, and now I know a lot of things about cheese that I would not have known before if Nathan didn't tell me that. But okay, so now like a history class is Professor Elizabeth Foster teaches Europe from 1914 to like the 2000s. Completely changed my worldview. Like you learn the history, but you also learn like how to take all of those moments and like interpret them now. It's a phenomenal class, and your writing improves a lot. It's not an easy class, so if you're looking for an easy class, this is not it. But she makes you a better writer, which is a good benefit too.
Great, thanks. So I've got a question in the chat. I know y'all could probably spend quite a bit of time talking about this, so I'll just ask maybe Brooke and John to answer this question. What special traditions does Tufts swim and dive team have that you enjoy? So maybe just pick one. We have quite a few traditions, but if you could pick one special one, what would that be? And I know Hannah, Steph, you'd probably love to answer it, and Nathan, you would too. So if they're concise, you guys can jump into.
I think the one that sticks out for me, I don't know, it's hard to choose one. I honestly don't know what I want to pick. I don't know if it's specific to Tufts swimming and diving, but like I did it with teammates, was painting the cannon like at Tufts. I know that's not like not team specific, but like you do it with your teammates and it's school specific. So like we have a cannon on campus and you can like go late night and like paint it to like for an upcoming meet or like an upcoming event. And it's like it's always just something fun to like do with your teammates.
I'm gonna pick a like distance group specific one. On training trip at the last day, our little group would take a picture like lying in the pool to commemorate how much we had swum. And I just think it was like a fun way. It was like something to look forward to. Like as you're getting up at 5:15 in the morning to go practice, you're like, well, at least we'll have this like kind of nice moment where you acknowledge that we got through it together. And I have them all like saved on my phone as favorites. Sometimes I look at them just to think like, wow, we actually did that. I think it's fun.
All right, they were pretty quick. Hannah, Steph, you got one.
I'd say the women's team championship season ones are always really good. We all write each other hearts. So at the end, right before your championship meet, you get like 50 or 40 hearts from every single one. And they're like not good luck. They're like very, very heartfelt and like essays, and it takes a lot of time to write them, but it's like just so meaningful. And so many people that you don't even know if you have a strong connection with, you're like, wow, like we actually do connect. And with that, we also like make spirit beads and like necklaces.
And we have accountability buddies for every meet. So you got to sign someone, and like at every single meet, like you guys like exchange like a little gift, and it's always so fun.
There are tons of traditions.
Yeah,
like we
they're
can
all
sit here
really
listing
fun.
them.
Yeah.
That sounds like most of my heart.
Nathan, you got anything you want to add?
I was thinking about the scavenger hunt. I don't know when we do it, but it's just like some year of the team organizes it, and then there's just a big list of like take a picture with the president, Tony Monaco, like take a picture, like I don't know, doing a handstand. It's just a bunch of random things, and it's just a bunch of people like running all through campus looking absolutely ridiculous.
I think it's
so
the
I
end
think
of
it's
the
pretty
season,
exciting.
Nathan.
I think it is the end.
Yeah.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Great. There are a few more questions. One, how do you feel Tufts prepared you for the working world and or grad school? And maybe we'll just stick with maybe John for grad school and Steph for the working world.
Well, I think you learn, first of all, you're on a big team with a bunch of different people, and whether you're in school or you're working somewhere, you're going to be likely on a big team with a lot of different people. So you learn how to manage that. But also, like, I don't know, for finals in law school, I was spending like 12 hours in the library every day, and I would sit down there and I would think to myself, is this worse than swimming the mile? And the answer was almost always no. Like it's not as bad as that. Or like some monster set like at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning, like on training trip. Like, no, like I'm tough. Like I can handle writing words on a page. Like that's something I can manage after experiencing like some really hard sets and some really hard races. So you just learn how to be tough, and you learn how to um, feed off of other people in a way that's unique. Like my friends in law school, they weren't on sports teams, but they've commented to me like numerous times, like, I feel like we're on a team together. Like we're on an athletic team together because like that's the energy you bring. And it's like, well, yeah, like from Tufts, like we're on a team, like we're doing this together, we're working towards a common goal. It's something unique that only comes when the team is something special.
Yeah, I would agree with John that in the working world, like you're not just doing tasks on your own, like the people you work with, you're all working towards a similar goal. So you learn to collaborate with other people and like work towards the same goal together. And then with being a student athlete, you also learn time management and like making sure that you're doing things to hit your deadlines. And then I think just being part of a team, and especially this team, and making such close relationships, you just have your teammates, whether they were your teammates when you were a freshman or when you were a senior, they're always there for you for each step, next step in your life. So definitely the transition from school to working, a lot of my teammates were there for me to be like, yeah, like I'm going through the same things, like, and alumni that were like older will be like, yeah, like you'll get through this, like it is a difficult time, and like just provide like really great advice to get through this next chapter.
Great. Thank you both. Good answers. So these last two questions, we've got a couple more minutes here, and I want to be conscientious of people's time, but last two questions kind of go hand in hand. So first question is just, how would you describe the team atmosphere? And then the other question is, how are you all able to include the fun side of swim and dive while not getting in the way of the intensity of swim and dive? And I think those two things are kind of go hand in hand, because that's what we're trying to accomplish in our atmosphere at the pool. So if any of you have some thoughts on that, I'll just let you all jump in. That'll be our last question, and then we'll say goodbye to you guys for the night.
I feel like fun was super important to me in swimming. Like I needed to feel like I was having fun while working hard. Like that's what made it really rewarding for me. And I feel like, at least in my experience, like in the sprint group, I know it can be different for different training groups, but like I think we had a great balance of like really hard training, intense training, but like still having fun while we do it. And I think like those are some of the practices that I remember the most on training trip or on campus. Like I know with Coach Joe, like I had a lot of practices like later in the evening, like 6 p.m. with some of the sprinters, or we did more like individualized sprint work. And like those were some of the hardest practices I ever did in terms of like pushing myself. But like we all were like cheering each other on and like knew how to like kind of make it like a challenge for each other. But like we would blast music while doing it, and like, or picking our favorite songs. So like there's different ways to like still work hard and have fun at the same time. And I'm really grateful for Tough Swimming and Diving for like showing me like that balance and that it like can be done. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Brooke.
Yeah, I'd basically say that too. I'd say we also have just such a mix of different people on the team. I think there's some people that are probably more intense than others, and you're going to get that on every team. But I feel like also people change in the 4 years too. They might come intense and, you know, and everyone wants the same goal. Everyone wants the team to do really well. It just, things do change. And it is a very, very supportive atmosphere. And in the end, like everyone wants to swim fast and we're all there trying to get better. And we have certain expectations to meet and we all want to have fun and we all want to swim fast. And I think that like everyone can agree that's what they want out of their experience. So I feel like we're there to like do it, but also just enjoy the process too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's a great question because you have to find a way to find balance. Like I'll be honest, I really wanted to win when I was swimming, and I really wanted everybody else to win too. Like that, I took it seriously, and it was something that really mattered to me. And I don't know, maybe when we were like, doing an awful long set, some people weren't having fun. But I think at the end of it, you look back and it's like, wow, that was fun. Or Nathan's laughing. Maybe I was too intense sometimes. But I don't know, like winning's fun, right? Like, like doing well is fun, improving's fun. Seeing like the face of a teammate. I know at my junior year NESCACs, I shared a hug with my one of my teammates behind the blocks after a race, and like that's just, it doesn't get any better than that. But I think just like the whole vibe, it's like the fun can come from a vibe. Like the energy is high. Like when there were so many times, and sprinters and distance swimmers always have a little bit of tiff and tap back and forth. But anytime we were doing a long set and the sprinters had a second, they were cheering for us. And that's fun. Like they were rowdy too. Like they were ready to go for us. And like that's a dynamic that's just fun. It's so fun. Like you feel like you're at a swim meet. When they're cheering for you, and so like that type of stuff is really fun, and it's how you keep yourself motivated and the intensity up as well.
Great. Well, that is about all the time we have for this session. I want to thank you, Brooke, John, Nathan, Hannah, and Steph so much for joining us. Definitely owe y'all some swag next time I see you. Brooke knows anytime she comes by my office, I give her something. So, come by anytime. But also, if you just text me your mail address, I can send you some gear. But thank you so much for sharing. Hopefully, everyone who was on this Zoom feels like they learned a little bit more about Tufts, and definitely fills my heart with a lot of pride to hear y'all talk about it. And I texted this group of 5 people on Friday, and all of them jumped right at the opportunity to share a little bit about their experience with you all. So hopefully you all found it helpful. We've got one last Zoom session coming up at 8:00, just kind of a little bit of Q&A, final questions that anyone might have, also talking about kind of next steps in the recruiting process, the recruiting timeline. We don't expect it to run too long, but we're going to give everyone a 10, 11, 12-minute break or so, and then we'll come back to it. But yeah, Brooke, John, Nathan,